As we go into September, the bees are actively working to get ample supplies to make it through the winter. This is the time of the year that they call a dearth, which is when the pollen and nectar are getting harder to find, and therefore supplies are low to make the stores of honey that the bees need to survive throughout the winter. Now, during this time, the bees get quite a bit more protective of their stores and they become much more aggressive. When we went through my friend's hives a couple of weeks ago, they were both struggling, but there were queen cells in both, so we had hope that they could possibly recover. The first thing that we noticed with this hive is it is very quiet and we see none of the usual behavior from the bees. They have no way to protect the hive from predators and robbers at this point. We did find a closed queen cell here, but it should have already hatched. So it was pulled out, and upon closer investigation, there was a dead queen inside. As we go through this hive, we see pollen, nectar, and honey, but absolutely no brood, which are the baby bees before they hatch. They have no direction except to do what nature calls them to do, to collect the pollen and nectar and make the honey. We also don't see the number of bees we would expect to see in a hive. This hive is dying and certainly will not make it until winter. The only option is to combine this hive with all of its bees and honey stores into the larger hive to give them a better chance of surviving. And to try to determine with this inspection what is causing the decline to this hive. The second hive seems to be improving since our last inspection. The bees are larger and there are more of them. They have upped up their honey supplies and it looks like they're doing better. Beekeepers often combine two colonies, usually because one is either weak or queenless. And because each colony has its own unique odor, combining the colonies without like an introductory period, it can cause fighting amongst the workers. You could possibly kill the queen. If you have a queen in both hives, it's recommended to terminate the weaker queen so as not to risk the loss of the strong one. But this really is up to the beekeeper. Oftentimes beekeepers will leave both queens so that the bees can make their choice. In most cases, the younger and fitter queen remains, but there may be subtle things in a queen's makeup that the bees are better able to make the choice about rather than the beekeeper.
Oh, this is good.
That's another queen cell?
Yeah. This is good though.
Why is it good?
Because you still don't have a queen because of the way it's, well, or the queen is not doing her job because of the laying pattern. And the bees will know that. I'm looking to see if there's any mites on the bees too. Yeah, I'm seeing mites. Right here. Look at the back of this one right here. That little white speck.
Mm-hmm. All of them have.
Yeah.
Or a lot of them have.
So that's probably what's happening is you got a mite problem. So
So somebody must be just laying drones.
yeah, because they're trying to compensate for the queen. So
Don't they know? So was that the same queen cell that was in here before?
No, it's a different one. So what? It's been 2 weeks. It's definitely
Looks like
capped.
the
It
same
might
one.
be. It's just she hasn't hatched yet. somebody's definitely laying drone.
So should I go get another queen? I know that guy down there, he does sell queens.
Well, don't think it would hurt you to buy a queen. Or you can see if they hatch that out, but then there's a chance of losing all your bees. That almost looks like, no, the wings are, that looks like a queen right there. The wings are short and she's got a long body, but she looks like a virgin. You see what I'm talking about? Right here. Because her wings are shorter than the other bees and she's got a long torso.
They'd be paying more attention to her, I think, couldn't they?
They are huddling around. But there's another one that looks like that. But her wings are not as long, or her wings are longer. The brood that's flat that looks like honey, but it's not honey, that's for sure the female bees. And then the ones that are raised up like sandpaper, like tall or big, those are the drones. Oh, there's a queen cell.
Oh.
Is
Is
there
there a minute? There is.
Yeah, it looks like she just hatched. Literally just hatched. Because they chewed her out.
So where's she at?
She might be on her mating flight, and it looks like it just hatched out. I think they wait 4 days to do their mating height. There's another one with a bad mate problem.
Oh yeah.
So let's see if we can find somebody. Her body's not going to be as elongated as that, but she's going to have short wings. There, right there. She's going around. Right, found it. Oh, she just flew on me.
She did. Nope, she didn't stay on you.
That looks like her. There, she's right there again. Is that her?
Where?
Here.
No, the wings are too long for that.
And the other one.
I've never seen an immature one, so
So they look a lot like the other bees. They're just a tiny bit elongated, but their wings are short. And then once they have their mating flight, then they get really big. That is awesome. More of the same. Patchy brood.
that's a lot of drones.
Oh my.
Oh, here's another one.
And that one's been chewed out too. That one's got a larvae in it.
So does that mean that there is a queen in there?
Yep. Yep, they're destroying the other ones. I'm such a bee nerd. I love this stuff.
I just don't understand why there's so much.
Oh, right there? No. Maybe? This one? Look how long it is. Right there.
Yeah. You need to have a drop of paint on them.
Well, if you buy the one from the guy, they will. You just ask, whoops, you just ask him to mark it.
So, I'd be interested in seeing what this looks like, if it's any different. But it's not going to survive now
No.
because it's already.
Yeah. That one,
Say
that one was
How far along is that, you think?
not very far because they don't even have royal jelly in there yet. The royal jelly is that white creamy stuff. So they haven't put royal jelly in it. And they were like, nope, we got a queen. We don't need this now. Lots of larvae.
Yeah, but is it all
Drown. Okay, so your options. Either way, I say you need to combine because those guys are going to die.
Yeah. I wonder if I should.
Your options are you can buy a queen and add it in, and whoever survives, survives.
Because there is another queen cell in there.
There's another queen cell in there, plus there's a queen because they chewed it out and it had royal jelly in the bottom. So you know for a fact that that queen hatched. There was not a larvae in there, just royal jelly. So.
And how long do you think that has been?
Fairly recently. 1 or 2 days. She stays in the hive for about 4 days, and then she does her mating flight, and then she comes back. So that means within 7 days we should see eggs. There's another big drone. There's another big drone. These guys are huge. They look a lot better than they did.
Yeah, they're bigger.
Yeah. So, let's put that one on this end and tree down here.
And then you treat again in
2 weeks, I think it said. Yeah. Which is when we should be
Are
checking them anyways.
you supposed to be treating each box though, or just the one?
Just above the brood. Because I have these terrible gloves.
Great gloves. Let's see if this is this. Do they go in it?
They, I think, go over to it and then they get it on them and it kills the mites.
So what we're treating them with here is called AppleGuard 1. More often than not, the mites can be the demise of a beehive. And you ask 10 beekeepers, you'll get 10 different answers on how best to manage mites in a beehive. Regardless, these bees certainly won't make it throughout the winter without this treatment. If the two colonies have a layer of newspaper between them, the bees must first tear through the paper before they interact. This process takes a while, but as soon as the paper gets holes in it, the colony odors begin to mingle. By the time the bees can pass through the paper, the odors have substantially combined and fighting is then avoided. You would then put the weaker colony on top of the stronger one, honey stores and all. Because this smaller hive here is in dire circumstances and we don't have newspaper, we are using paper towels in this emergency situation. The bees should be happily combined in a few days. The larger the colonies, the quicker this happens. It's recommended to remove any excess paper after 3 days.
The other thing I would do, and probably sooner the better, but especially when you feed, is reduce that entrance down. So
It's reduced way down though.
yeah, there's usually one that has just a little, like if you flip this around, and I have an extra one at home if you need it.
That doesn't come out of there.
Okay.
It's stapled in everything.
Oh, that's, yeah. The other thing you could do is put a piece of screen over it. I don't remember what they call it. And then just cut a little hole where you can just lift it up to where one bee can get in. And that just helps them, number one, guard the hive better when they're this weak of a hive. And then also when you feed, because once these guys, this comes out, and we take all the stuff out that we don't need and it ends up being the final hive, then you can just take your empty box, whichever one, and put that on top and put the syrup
So
in.
do you think we should have just 3 boxes or do 4?
I
So we'll
say
have 2 and then 1 extra of honey and then the 4th of that, or is
it
that too much?
really just depends on how much is in there. I would say let's assess it. So 3 days they say before you want to pull this out. Do you want me to come back in 3 days and help lift this off?
I can help.
Okay,
You
you
can
do that. Okay. And
Will
then
they have eaten through it already?
they should have, but they won't. They say to go ahead and just take it all out.
want to.
And as soon as you do that, then I would leave everything in here the way it is. Pull that out and then put an empty box with the lid on it with your food in and that top board.
Another one? Okay.
So you're gonna just take this off, you'll put that top board on, you'll put the 2 feeders in,
And you'll put the lid back on.
Okay.
You think you're gonna buy a queen, or you're gonna just?
I will talk to that bee guy and see what he thinks. I've got a queen cell in there. We know there is a queen that just hatched.
Huh? And if he asks you how you know, there was royal jelly in there, but there was no larvae, and it had been chewed out.
Now the queen chews out, or the bees chew out.
The bees will help her. Once she tries to start coming out, they'll help her. They'll chew her out.
Okay.
And chew her out in a good way, not in a bad way. Not like.
I will ask if I
Yeah,
do
no,
get a queen.
that is a great idea. And then we can play follow up from there, whatever you decide at that point. As far as winterization and such. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you being part of my journey. You guys have a blessed week. I will see you next week. God bless.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful